Welcome back to the Fierce and Femme podcast,
with your hosts, Rami and Alicia,
where we talk all things fitness, mindset, and everything in between
to help you become your most fierce and femme selves. Welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to talk about hustle culture because Alicia and I have a few things to say about it. So Alicia's going to...
a few things to say about
Alicia's going to just fucking get us straight into it.
So I think something with hustle culture is it is very, 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 well, very, very demonized. And we sort of have a different belief that it has its season. And I think that there's such a pendulum swing, and depending on what side of social media you're on or what types of friendships and relationships you have, you will get different opinions and beliefs from people on hustle culture, right? And I definitely have the side where I've been told many, many times before that you need a rest day and you need to stop and why are you doing so much? And then equally have the people that's like, no, keep pushing and keep going. And I think if you want to achieve big things, it takes big work. It takes a lot of work and it takes hustle. Like that is just the reality of it. If you want to, as a quote I said earlier in another episode, is that if you want to achieve great things, you need to do the great things. If you want to achieve average things, you're going to do the average things that everyone else does. And this is why hustle culture can be so demonized, because if you talk to the average person who maybe doesn't understand, of course they're going to be like, well, why would you do that? Because they maybe don't have these big goals and aspirations in their life. And there's nothing wrong with that. Everyone has their own lives and you can live it however you want to live it. But they may not understand the reason and the need why you may want to go above and beyond and push your limits and, you know, work these big days to achieve what you want to achieve. But sometimes that is honestly just what is required to get there.
Completely. And that kind of ties in with healthy hustle versus unhealthy hustle.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those things where only you will truly know the difference. You will only know when you're getting to a point where it's starting to feel unhealthy and that burnout is starting to creep in. And that is where people start to demonize the hustle. But you can hustle without getting to that place. Healthy hustle to us would be, okay, we've got a big goal. We want to get X amount of clients. We want X amount of money or whatever. So what are the steps that are required? Okay, maybe there's 50,000 fucking steps, right? But we're not just going to do 100 and then be like, okay, we're done. We've hustled. You've barely scratched the fucking surface, right? And that's what Alicia was saying. Like there is a time and place for it. And that healthy part of that hustle is you just building that relationship of like, cool, I need to do this. I've got to do this. This is what's required. If you want to have an online business, for example, it's hard. So that hustle is part of it versus whatever other goal that you got. You want to lose weight? Great. That hustle might look like making sure you get to the gym and you're meal prepping and you're tracking, right? Every goal has different versions of hustle. When it starts to get unhealthy is when you're constantly stressed 24/7 because the outcome isn't what you want it to be. That's where you have to sort of check yourself and be like, okay, I'm doing what I got to do. Maybe I got to implement a little bit more patience. Maybe I got to implement more productivity. Maybe my hustle isn't healthy because I'm actually wasting a lot of time. And then when it comes to doing something that's part of my goal, I'm fucking scrambling. Like, I think back to uni days and when I would chat to mates, the amount of them that would scramble to study before an exam or something. And they'll be like, oh, I'm hustling. I'm like, that kind of seems like stress to me, in my opinion. For me, hustle would be like the healthy hustle is almost like spreading it out. You know, knowing and understanding, cool, I've got a big goal. It's going to require a lot and it's going to require that hustle. How can I still make sure that I'm not going to drive myself to that burnout?
And I think people see it really black and white. It's almost like that all or nothing mindset again, that if you're in a hustle season, it is balls to the fucking wall. You are not doing anything else but achieving that goal. If you want to burn out, follow that formula. Perfect. Like that is what is going to get you there. If you want to hustle in a way that is smart and a way that's actually productive, because you hustling in that all or nothing mindset, you're probably not even going to get to your goals because you're going to get a few months in, be so fucking burnt out that you're miserable or that you have no fucking energy. Also, it can take an impact on your health, I think is a massive thing. I have been in unhealthy hustle before, and when I started PTing, there was a point where I was working 7 days a week. I was doing mornings and nights, and if you know anything about PT, it's early mornings and it's late nights. And then you may go back into an early morning. So you're not even having that much sleep to wake up early. And then I was also managing the gym at the same time as working 7 days a week. And it was full on. I didn't have any of my do not disturbs on. I was constantly contactable. I was on at 11 o'clock at night, but also at 5 a.m. in the morning. That was so freaking unhealthy because I could not switch off because I was so stressed at a point where I just needed to be contactable because I'm like, if I'm not, then everything's going to go wrong. And I was hustling so hard, but not taking care of myself whatsoever. Something that I started to implement was a Pilates studio opened up. This is how I fell in love with Pilates because it was 45 minutes where my phone was in a locker and I
Mm.
had time to myself. And I think that is something that really distinguishes that healthy between unhealthy of you need to either be on or off and no in between. Because my issue was whenever I was home, I was still having my notifications pop off. And it was like, well, I'm not technically meant to be working right now, but I can respond to this message. So I just will. And having boundaries is a massive thing of being able to have that healthy or unhealthy hustle.
Completely. And just implement things into your day that's going to help you hustle in a healthy way. And if you haven't listened to our building habits, not goals episode, we highly suggest listening to that because there are so many little daily habits that you can implement into your day that's not going to make it seem so stressful and hard and heavy. And then, you say that you're burnt out, but you're not. It's just that you're tired. You've just spent too much time on your phone. Maybe you forgot to eat, whatever it is. It's like when you set those daily habits, you can start checking yourself of like, cool, I'm starting to feel tired, but did I drink my 2 liters of water that I said I was going to do every day?
Mm.
Have I gone outside and gotten some vitamin D that I said I was going to do every day? Because once you start doing those things, you're never really going to get burnt out. For me, when I was doing shift work plus starting the business, very similar to you, was the hustle was on 24/7 because I didn't have those daily habits. I didn't give my time to slow down because I thought, okay, well, the more that I do and this and that and put my fucking hands in every pie or whatever, I'm going to be successful quicker. That was actually not the case. If anything, the pendulum swung and I was like, fuck, I actually need to learn how to take care of me first
Mm.
so that I can do all these things and be healthy and happy about it. Because if you're at that burnout stage, but let's say you're a coach, you're not actually going to be able to respond to your clients with that clarity or that peace, and things are probably going to get to you so much quicker. And that's not the client's fault. They might come to you with such a basic problem and then boom, you explode because you've been hustling when in reality you just haven't been taking care of yourself.
Mm.
So this is just a little bit of a call out, I guess, of making sure you've got those daily habits in place so that you can work hard and do what you need to do to achieve your goals. If you need support, let's say it's health and fitness, this is what Alicia is for. If you're starting an online business and you're like, fuck, this shit's hard, I need that discipline, I need that resilience, this is what I'm here for. Like, there are people out there that can support you and to teach you and help you implement these daily things so that you can go live about your fucking life
Mm.
without being worried about the burnout. Because I think a lot of people limit themselves and go, okay, but I don't want to do this because I don't want to get burnt out. Why don't you ask the question of, how can I ensure I achieve this goal? What can I do to make myself feel regulated while I'm on the journey of achieving this goal? All I did was just change a few different fucking words, and it changes the entire neural pathway of your mind to then go, oh, this is possible. I can achieve this goal because every single day I'm going to meditate for 5 minutes.
Mm.
How simple is that? Versus, oh my God, I can't achieve that goal because I'm just going to get stressed and I'm just so angry all the time. And it's like, mate, which reality do you want to create? Because you choose that.
Yeah. And I think your perspective is everything because back to what I said at the very start of this episode of other people's opinions, I've found so many times when people will say, this is when I'm in a healthy hustle, right? And this is where we need to use our discernment. We need to have, I would say the right perspective or a positive perspective because people will say, oh, you need to slow down. You need to have rest days. And then if I for 1 second feed into that, I'm like, well, no, but I am. And they just may not see that. Like, okay, no, I'm very blessed that yes, I hustle, but I have a very flexible style hustle. For example, I have my Pilates shifts, but I then can come home and have a bit of a break before I go into my business work or before I edit stuff for the podcast or have a day like today where it is a podcast day and I can sort of step back a little bit from my other things. And I think that's also what people don't see. So having that perspective of that I am actually okay and even questioning things of can I expand my capacity? Can I do more? And
Mm.
not having that limiting mindset instead of having a more growth mindset of instead of feeding into everyone's beliefs as gospel and that, oh, they've said I need to slow down, so I probably need to slow down. Get really honest with yourself of, do I need to slow down or am I actually feeling really good with this? Because
Mhm.
everyone is so different. For someone might look at you and go, fuck, they're fucking hustling. I could never do that. That's okay. It doesn't mean that you being able to do that and being okay with doing that is wrong, because I know I've gotten into that before where I'll be doing it. I'll actually be fucking thriving. And then someone goes, oh, you're doing too much. And it's like, oh, maybe I'm doing too much. And it's like,
Mm.
no, but I was fucking thriving. Like, don't listen to those people. So I think it's being really confident within yourself, being able to have that radical self honesty, because there may be moments where it's like, I actually do need to slow down and I do need to implement more self care time, because I've noticed that I'm not as present in my relationships, or when I'm going out with friends, I'm just zoned the fuck out because I'm so fucking tired from what I'm doing. So I think honesty to yourself within that aspect is going to be a massive, massive help in being able to avoid the burnout and regulate yourself.
And on that, we're going to give you 3 tips to get you through, especially if you are in a hustle season right now. The first tip is to prioritize downtime.
Mhm.
And I know you might be sitting there thinking, but oh my God, I've got so much to do and I've got to do
I
this
have
and I've
no
got to do that.
time.
And that was me about 2 years ago when I was doing shift work and started the business. My whole world was like just consumed with just get this done, get that done, rah, rah, rah. And you know what? With like full transparency, can say I was fucking exhausted all the time. And I guess this might be for those people who, whether you're doing shift work or you're working full time or you're working part time and you want to start something new, prioritize that downtime. Because, like I said before, you're not going to be able to show up for your clients or anyone else, not even your family or your partner, if you're constantly stressed and exhausted. So, whether it's prioritizing that downtime at the start of your day, for me personally, starting my day with not checking my phone and like reading for 10 minutes or doing a 10-minute meditation, perfect. It just sets the scene for me
Mm.
straight away. So it's like when I do feel really exhausted later in the day, I'm like, okay, what was my intention in the morning? How did I start my day? I actually started my day really nice and slow, and I want to get back into that. Your downtime could be going to the gym. Your downtime could be calling someone and having a 30-minute conversation with your bestie or something like that. Everybody's downtime is different. Maybe it's 10 minutes in silence, like what Alicia does every day. But pick something that you know is realistic and that you know you can commit to.
Mm.
Don't be like, okay, well, my downtime is going to be 2 hours of cooking or something. I don't know, something random every day. But then it gets to 4 p.m. and you're like, I actually can't be fucked cooking. It's like, well, give yourself something that you know you can do. That's why I say like 5-10 minutes is all you need. Whether it's first thing in the morning, you could do it again in the middle of the day, you can do it at the end of the day. And if you're telling me that you don't have 10 minutes for yourself, right? But you can show up to work every single day for your boss, for your colleagues, for whoever, and you can't give yourself 10 minutes. It's kind of sad.
Mm.
Like, you have to come first in this life. And that is how you're going to get through your hustle season.
Yeah. I think even on that, having moments where you don't have anything that you're consuming. And I think where people forget, when you're listening to music, you are still consuming. And something, I mean, I've always preached about the silence thing because I love it. And for me, it was a big shift of that. I'll watch something when I'm at home and then I'll listen to music and then I'll listen to a podcast. And then I'm also servicing clients and I'm
Mm.
listening to what they're telling me and I'm telling them something. And like, when am I just shutting the fuck up, not listening to anything and just being present? And small moments that have helped me, that setting boundaries, like, okay, if I'm walking the dogs, I do not look at my phone the whole entire time I'm walking the dogs. Some days it happens, some days it doesn't. It is what it is. But it could even be things, okay, when I drive to the gym, I know you've done this recently, of I don't listen to music when I drive to the gym. Because moments like that, we don't notice how much consumption of things like podcasts and music tire you the fuck out,
Mhm.
because you are never switching off. We actually need moments for our brain to just decompress, our nervous system to decompress, where we're not in that consuming bubble 24/7. On that, our next little tip is time management. This one is a big one. And I think when it comes to time management, is being so honest with how long things actually take. And in both senses of that, I know I always have a thing of I get so anxious thinking things will take me longer than they do. And then I do it and I'm
Mm.
just like, oh, that took like 10 minutes.
Same.
And I thought it would take me like half an hour of an hour. But be realistic that, okay, if you have a task and you're like, oh, that'll take 30 minutes. And then 2 hours later, you're setting yourself up for failure. And a really good way to do this is take a bit of a time log and, log your
Yeah.
day of how long does it actually take me to travel to the gym? How long does it take me to do all of this stuff? And build it up. And something that I could not recommend enough is Google Calendar. I love it. You can make it all pretty and have all your different colors and literally block out your day in different times. And I've included like coming here today, drive to Rami's, drive to podcast studio, drive back home, do this, like all the little things, because that is all taking up time in my day. And if I'm not putting that in, then I'm not actually being realistic in terms of my time management. And I think with this being really honest and like the harsh truth that you need to hear, stop playing dumb because you know what is in your day. Like when you're saying, oh, that I didn't know it would take me this long, or there was this on the way home and all of these things. It's like, if we're being honest, you probably actually did know that that was going to pop
Yeah.
up, but it was just easier to ignore that problem till later. Then it comes up and all of a sudden, I mean, this is me being a coach. The gym session doesn't happen. Food isn't prepared, everything. When at the start of the week, you probably knew you had a really fucking busy week. So time management and also just be fucking prepared. And I would highly recommend at the start of your week, whether it's a Sunday or a Monday, sit down, look at your calendar, jot down all of the things that are happening that week. You're catching up with a friend, you're finishing work a little bit later on one day, whatever it is. Okay, what are the challenges that could come up with that? That day I might be a bit tighter for a gym session, so I'm going to do it on this day, and like make really fucking smart decisions, because it's not that you don't know, you're just being lazy and not accounting for that.
On time management,
Mm.
just take yourself more seriously. The amount of times, and God bless some of my clients who are online creators and online business owners, will go, oh, I don't have time to make content this week. And I'll be like, how's your doom scrolling? And they'll be like, horrendous. You did fucking have time, sweetie. You just chose not to. And this is where we have to be cautious of the excuses that we create for ourselves just to stroke our fucking egos, because you did have time. And that's the sad thing, is a lot of people will be like, oh, I don't have time. I'm so busy. I've got kids. I've got that. Blah, blah, blah. All you got to do is, like Alicia said, just that time slot. It's fucking game changing, and just be smarter and more productive, and do not complain that you didn't have time when you know deep down you did. You just didn't want to do it. And it's just own it. You didn't want to do it, because every time that you say, I don't have time, you're equally saying, I just didn't prioritize myself. And start saying that instead. And I guarantee you it's going to make you feel fucking worse, because you know that for a fact. If you're actually complaining you don't have time to do something, you're actually just not prioritizing yourself.
Yeah. And I feel like that ties in perfectly to our last one, which is say no, but also / set boundaries. Setting boundaries. I used to always say I never had time. Yet again, every single fucking time someone asked me to do something, yes, 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 yes. And all of a sudden I'm falling to pieces because I've gone and helped 10 million fucking people before actually servicing myself. There is absolutely nothing wrong with the word no. I love the quote from, it's Elizabeth Olsen. She's like a Marvel person. And she says, no is a full sentence. There doesn't need to be any explanation. There doesn't need to be a whole story of, no, I can't because this. Like, just say no. You can say sorry if you want to, but if you're not really sorry, you don't need to say sorry. But start actually setting those boundaries and putting things in place, because we've said this a few times, but you need to put yourself first. If you're in a hustle season, you need to put yourself first, because otherwise you're going to start to fall to pieces, because you're doing things to reach these goals and hit these achievements. And then equally trying to be the friend that's always at the events and trying to be the partner that's always doing the things. Like, sometimes you need to say no. And I think even equally on that, ask for help. Of, if you're in a hustle season, it may be saying to your partner, hey, can you help me out with the dishes, or can you help me out with cooking tonight, because I am really busy in this. So it's almost putting those boundaries in place to not take on more. And then if you do have so much more, let's actually start to diminish that plate a little bit, because you're allowed to ask for help just as much as your friends and your family ask for help from you.
As well on that is, you got to be okay with sacrificing things during a hustle season, and like, you have to be okay with saying no, because that's part of it, unfortunately. And I think people want these big goals, all the money, all the clients, all the things, but then they're not willing to go, oh, I can't see my friends, or I can't see, like, that's actually fucking part of it. There's a lot of family time, friendship time, gym time, so much shit that I had to sacrifice while doing shift work and starting the business. But I knew that that was required. There are definitely moments that maybe I pushed it too hard, or maybe I didn't, or whatever, but everything happens for a reason. And equally, you have to learn to say no, because that is also what's kind of required with hustling sometimes. You want to start a business and make it really successful, but then you want to go out every single night with your mates. That can't actually fucking happen, because you're required to show up for yourself so much more in so many more ways that you could ever fucking imagine. And the sooner that you can start to say no and set those boundaries positively, and then equally this kind of ties in with the time management, because the better that you can get with your time management, then maybe you won't have to say no so much. But if you are someone who's wasting all of your time and then it comes to your mates wanting to hang out on a Saturday night but you didn't do the 10 things that you said you would do, it's kind of like, whose fault's that? One of two things is going to happen. You're going to go and then you're still going to wake up the next morning stressed as fuck, or you're not going to go and then you're going to complain and get upset that you couldn't go, right? So you got to hold yourself accountable. Do the things that we've said in this episode, and we're here if you need support. This is literally our bread and butter. We don't want people to get burnt out.
Yeah.
We want people to live their dreams and desires. And equally, that is why we are fucking here, to teach you, to give you those daily habits, to ensure that you can live your fucking best life and still hustle in a very safe and healthy way.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with a hustle season. Just got to do it in a way that serves you.
Beautiful.
All right, my loves. Well, that was our app on hustles. If you're in a hustle season, we see you.
Yeah.
We wish you the best.
We're proud of
because,
you.
Yeah, you can fucking do it, and don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. But
Facts.
if you like this episode, let us know. Send us a cheeky little DM, and we'll be back in your ears next week.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening.
If you're on Spotify, don't forget to give us a follow and rate us 5 stars.
And if you're on YouTube, like, subscribe, and comment down below.
We'll be back in your ears next week.
Bye.